Peter Buswell for DrVoIP with an Amazon Connect 2025 update. We've been deploying this product since it was first introduced in March of 2017. We built our first call center was for a large dental practice management company here in the States, and it was to support an internal IT team. Great experience, and the product has just continued to be improved. New features, new capabilities are continually being added, and the product has just matured. We work exclusively with AWS cloud services in general and AWS Connect in particular. And over the years, we've produced something like 236 plus Amazon Connect tutorials on the YouTube channel. And every time a new feature comes out, we try to do a video on how to implement the feature or assess its impact or share with you tech tips that help you either design, deploy, or administer an Amazon Connect instance. But 8 years later, it's time to do just a refresh. As we entered 2025, there was some significant new enhancements to the look and feel of not just the contact center, but actually a lot of the consoles inside the AWS cloud. So we're going to look at the Amazon Connect console in particular. We'll look at a bunch of new features and capabilities. And there are new channels, email, video. So there's a lot of new capabilities. And rather than just try to patch old videos, let's do a new refresh. So this is going to be a multi-part. I try to keep the videos to 30 minutes or so, certainly no more than an hour. Break where possible in terms of content. Uh, and there's a lot to cover, so it's just going to take several videos to get this done. But we will review the portal, we'll look at new tools in the portal, we'll share with you tips and tricks, and then we're going to build a call center from soup to nuts, from start to finish. We'll walk you through everything you need to know to build a contact center. And then in subsequent parts, we're going to take that very basic first configuration and mature it by increasing the functionality of the initial call flows, by adding additional channels, by creating some bots and speech recognition solutions, and taking a look at popular integrations. And in general, you should be able to view this as a tutorial on the full functionality and capabilities of Amazon Connect. So let's get into it with our first overview. A couple of issues that need to be understood as you build out your Amazon Connect instance. First, you'll notice that we're logged into an AWS account. And in the AWS cloud, you're going to find many services. If I were to view all of these services, there's hundreds of them. And Amazon Connect is just another service available to you in Amazon Web Services. So here's the deal. Here's what you have to understand. If you're the person who is creating the Amazon Connect instance, you're going to need to have permission to do so in the AWS console. Now, chances are, depending on the size and scope of your IT resources, there's an IT team that's responsible for the AWS account that contains your company's servers and your company's storage and websites, etc. And they really don't want you messing around in there. So what they might do using Amazon's organizational structure is to set up I'll oversimplify, I'll call it a parent-child relationship. And the parent is this account, and then we might create a daughter account, and that's the account that you want to turn over to the folks that are going to operate the Amazon Connect instance. And this way you can assign that account admin privileges and people can go play in that account, and the company doesn't have to worry about you messing with any of the other resources in the parent account. Secondly, that approach enables you to track all of the costs associated with your Amazon Connect instance. So I've logged in here, and now I want to build an Amazon Connect instance. So I'll click on Amazon Connect. It's going to take me to this interface. And what we want to do here is add an instance. First decision you have to make is irrevocable. It's one of the few issues that needs to be addressed at the start. Where are my users going to be defined? Will they be defined and lived and managed in the Amazon Connect instance? Or will they be defined in, let's say, Active Directory or maybe Google or Microsoft 365? Those are your options. They're all viable options. The simplest solution is to define your users in the actual call center. This enables someone to manage them directly in the call center. It's the least sophisticated configuration, the least complex to establish. And for purposes of this demo, we're going to go ahead and put our users in that database. I point this out only because if you do it now, you cannot later change it to use an external directory system or an external service provider like 365 or Google Workspaces. So I'm going to go ahead and create the DrVoIP demo. It's going to ask me to create an administrator. I like to name someone. Go ahead. Now we don't want to use him. Let's use Gandalf de Grey. And his username is Gandalf. And his password is one more time. And email. So at this point, we've defined a administrator of the system, and we'll go ahead. Next thing it's going to do is ask me um, what the telephony options are. Is this an inbound call center, an outbound call center? In our demo, we're going to set it up to do both. I always have a problem with this. I can't imagine why someone would have an inbound call center that wouldn't allow outbound calls, or why someone would have an outbound call center and not allow inbound calls, but that's a sermon for another time. Let's go ahead and advance here. Now it's going to ask for data storage. Where do you want the data that your call center is going to create? Where do you want that saved? It will suggest to you that these are appropriate places to put your Connect data and your flow logs and your recordings and all of those different things. It'll also ask you if you want to enable customer profiles, which I'll explain later. We're going to go ahead and do that. We're also going to enable email, which is a new channel in 2025. And it would enable you, if you want, to go ahead and change those defaults. It's also going to create an execution role. That's a user with a permission to go put data and to an S3 bucket someplace. So we're going to go ahead and accept those defaults. At this point, I have an opportunity to review everything, and it looks good to me. It's just a review of um, the administrator, the telephony options that we've chosen, and the data storage locations. And at this point, we're going to go ahead and create the instance. And this will take a minute or two. And while it does that, I'll just go ahead and pause this. Okay, once this is complete, you get this nice big green light to go ahead and get started. And this will take you to the Amazon Connect portal. Now, what's important to understand here is that you have left AWS Cloud Console and you're now in the Amazon Connect console. If I go back here, back into the Cloud Console, I'm still outside of the call center at this point, right? So here is my instance. Here is the access. If I were to copy this link, this is what your users would eventually use to log into the call center. It's allowing me to log in because I am already logged in as the administrator. You have no users defined yet. I wanted you to see the login, but I'll show it to you a little bit later. What's important to note is that this is the access URL. Here are the channels, the date this was created, and it's currently active. So if I click on this, it will bring up information about the service, the Amazon Connect service. Keep in mind, we are still in the AWS console. And I repeat myself here because it's important for you to understand, because often it'll be a situation in which maybe the IT team set up this side of the Chinese curtain and gave you access to this side, but the two are separate. Someone who is an administrator in Amazon Connect is not necessarily an administrator in the AWS account that the instance was created in. If we look over here on the left, we'll see that we have uh, some information marked as new, like third-party applications. You can see some new channels. We have email now in 2025. That's new. Uh, Campaigns has matured and is now integrated into the call center along with tasks. Uh, Artificial intelligence is playing a larger role. We have analytic tools like uh, the data lake tools. We have cases. It looks to me like Amazon is building their own CRM system, but that's my assessment. It's not necessarily an announcement by AWS, but I notice cases looks an awful lot like a ticketing system, a case management system. We have customer authentication, which has to do with security. Uh, Customer profiles enables you to basically set up a CRM package. There are certain out of the box integrations with people like Salesforce and ServiceNow, Zendesk, and you also have the ability to embed your own information. But basically, we're going to take information from either your private databases or the information that your contact center itself creates. So every time a phone call comes in, that information is saved. Next time that phone call comes in, we can get some historical information and present it to agents. We have forecasting and planning. That's new for 2025. Voice ID is matured in 2025. And some of this information we'll talk about in greater detail later. So let's go on into the call center itself. And we got there in one of two ways. Um, I had previously clicked on this, but what I want to do here is tell you about the login for emergency access option. So from within the AWS cloud side of the call center, you can gain access to the call center, and that's what we're going to do here. Now we are in the AWS Amazon Connect contact center, And let's start taking a look at some of the new features and functionality that this interface offers before we build our first contact flows. Okay, let's poke around this interface. In the middle of the screen, there's a checklist and a suggested way to go about your configuration. It's actually a very useful tool, and we'll try to adhere to this. But before we start talking about creating the actual contact flows that define your call center, let's look around at some of the supporting attributes of this interface. So um, this is pretty much new in 2025, and I like it a lot because it helps better organize the various blocks that you're going to use to create your contact flows. And they break them down into analytics and optimization. This is going to be things like your various reports, your real-time metrics, historical reports, your ability to search for particular contact records, your ability to set up call handling rules, custom vocabularies. Routing has to do with things like your queues, your hours of operation, quick connects, which are, literally speed dials. Um, Users, this is where you're going to define your users and assign them to routing profiles. Routing profiles basically attach a user to the queues that you want that user to be a member of. So think of routing profiles as the way we bind particular users to the various call flows that you want them to participate in. That's called a routing profile. It also enables you here to set up things like break time, lunch, personal, and the various reasons that someone might not be at their desk or available to take a phone call. Security profiles is where you're going to go and set up things like who's an administrator and who is an agent. Uh, Outbound campaigns we'll talk about when we actually go and configure a campaign later on in this overview. Contact management, content management. This is very new in 2025, and we'll look at this in greater depth when we look at things like email. Case fields and templates, you are able to set up your ticketing system, if you will, with some custom fields, and you can define templates to help organize those fields. Customer profiles, as we previously mentioned, have to do with defining. Um, it's a shorthand for CRM. I know it seems like AWS doesn't want to say CRM, but from my perspective, that's what it looks like. And then you have your various channels, which are increasing all the time. This is one of the great advantages about Amazon Connect, is that they're constantly improving the product, adding new services, adding new capabilities. Channels, what's a channel? Well, a voice phone call, that's a channel. SMS, text messaging, that would be a channel. Email, that would be a channel. Um, if we click on phone number, something we will do when we go to add a phone number. Well, let me show you something. If we go ahead and claim a phone number now, you'll see that you have some new choices that were not available prior to 2025. For example, you have the ability to I just need a voice telephone number, people to call me on. But you can also now directly attach an SMS number. Previously, you had to go through SNS, an external service. Now we can drag that SMS number right in and attach it to your contact center and treat it as another viable channel for you to communicate with your client base. WhatsApp, just another messenger interface. So these are channels. You can choose your phone number, and we will look at this one in greater detail when we go ahead and add a phone number. Communications widgets, there's some new widgets in 2025. For example, you used to be able to add chat widgets, which you still can do. So if you want to have a link out there on your website in which someone can click on it and open up a keyboard chat with someone in the call center in one of your queues. You can do that. We now have web calling, so we can not only have that person click and create a keyboard chat, we can add voice and video. Video is a new channel. It emerged in 2024, but it's really been redefined in this interface here and is more integrated into the contact center. Screen sharing. When they're out there on that website and they come into the call center and you want to point out some information of interest, you have the ability to do that. So there's quite a lot you can do here. Set up your email addresses, which we will look at in detail when we create. Um, and Lens is an interesting capability inside the call center. And when we set up recording, we can use Lens to translate that recording. We can also use Lens to take action based on um, keywords that someone might speak uh, and have the call center then take action based on that keyword. So this is some of the tools, some of the areas, and here are the suggested recipe for building your call center. I think that's very appropriate. Set up your hours, create your queues, create some prompts, create flows, and create your routing profiles and users. And you'll find that you can make phone calls very quickly. I would point out that creating prompts, um, there's embedded in Amazon Connect is text to speech. I have found in as an implementation engineer building these solutions that usually I'm well built the call center and I'm still waiting for the client to define what their prompts are going to be in the various menus they present to callers. So an advantage of using text to speech is I can go ahead, put in some dummy prompts, get the project moving, and then we can come back and change those prompts. We can control those prompts in terms of the voicing, the language, the cadence, uh, and I don't see a real reason to use recorded voices anymore and deal with all of the administrative that goes with having some employee record a prompt. So that's an overview of this interface. And let's go and talk a little bit. Oh, I should point out here that these two here are your um, telephone sets. Basically, if you click on the control panel, it's going to bring up what's called the contact control panel. This is the historical one that agents would be using for logging in and logging out. The newer one, and the one you're most likely going to use, is the agent workspace. And the agent workspace gives you more real estate to work with. It enables you to have some pop-ups to help your agents. In fact, it integrates with Q, artificial intelligence, email, and we will look at this in greater detail later. But right now, let's take a look at contact flows and let's get started building our call center.